沉默是金. This is an old Chinese proverb that I learned growing up in China. It means silence is golden. The children were taught to be obedient and quiet in school. This rule was especially emphasized for girls. Good morning, everyone. Today, I will be sharing with you what being silent meant to me and how I overcame it. I was one of the good kids in school. The teachers liked me because I was the quiet type. I received praises every other day for being quiet in class from most of my teachers. One day in second grade, we had an open house class in Chinese literature where the officials from the district Board of Education were sitting in the back of the classroom and were evaluating Mrs. Wang, my teacher. It was a big deal for her, and she made sure we were all aware of it. During the class, Mrs. Wang asked a question. No one raised their hand. Everybody tried to avoid eye contact with the teacher. She decided to call on the one girl who never spoke up in class, me. It was disastrous. I was standing there in front of my classmates and the district officials, scared to death. If I answered the question incorrectly, Mrs. Wang would definitely get very upset, and I would never hear the end of it. I just stood still and didn't say a word. She got upset anyway. After that incident, I made up my mind that I will never speak up in front of a group again. Fast forward many years, I went to the best college in China and got my bachelor's degree in civil engineering. After graduation, I was accepted at Rutgers University in New Jersey to pursue my master's degree. At 22 years of age, I moved halfway around the world by myself to a foreign country. At first, life was not easy for me. My English was not very good. Many times, I couldn't think of the right words to say. I had to rehearse the conversation to myself a few times before actually talking to people. The language barrier made it easier for me to stay silent in my daily life. After I graduated with my master's degree, I started my career as a civil engineer. As I climbed up the career ladder, I realized that being quiet was not the best strategy for me anymore. It turns out civil engineers still need to communicate with other people. Who who knew? I set off to look for advice that could help me with my communication skills. That's when I found Anthony and his community of motivated engineers. As Anthony always says, if there's one thing you're gonna do to improve your engineering career, it is to work on your public speaking skills. He also pointed out the way, joined Toastmasters International. I followed his advice and found a Toastmasters club near my house. From the first time I walked into the club, I felt right at home. The members in my club were awesome and welcomed me with open arms. They told me about their stories of being afraid of public speaking when they first started. It was so inspiring. I wished I could walk up in front of an audience and deliver a speech like them. After sitting in and observing the club meeting a few times, I joined the club and presented my first speech last October. The first speech that members gave is called the icebreaker. I was so nervous the few days before my first speech. For a few times, I thought about calling in sick or canceling it. The one thing that kept me going was the advice from a fellow member. Remember, it is impossible for you. It is impossible to fail at your first speech. This is a safe and supportive environment. People know it is your first time. All you need to do is get up there and say something. I also heard story of one member who almost fainted while giving the icebreaker and ran out of the room crying. So I kept telling myself, just get up there, don't faint on stage, and don't run out crying. That's all I needed to do to be successful. Although I was still nervous, I gave my speech that night. My voice quivered a little. I didn't know where to look, so I looked at the corner of the ceiling. I didn't know where to put my hands, so I clenched them together in front of me. All in all, I did okay. It wasn't until I was driving back home when it finally sunk in. I just did something that I never believed I could do. Remember that little girl who was standing in front of the whole class and couldn't say a word? I couldn't do it because I was afraid of being judged, afraid of failure. What would you accomplish if you believed you couldn't fail? How many times have you wanted to do something but gave up without even trying? It's been 8 months since I joined Toastmasters, and I am proud to say I have accomplished a lot. I have given 4 speeches so far and was recently awarded Best Speaker of the Week. Public speaking has quickly become my favorite hobby. What I gained from this experience was more than just the skills of presenting a speech. It is about building confidence in myself. I have discovered that I could do a lot more than what I believed before. I don't hide in my silence bubble anymore. When Anthony told me about this ECSX talks last year, my first thought was, ugh. Why would anybody subject themselves to such a torturous thing? But now, here I am, pushing myself forward to do something that makes me uncomfortable. We have a room full of motivated engineers here today. What is the one thing that makes you uncomfortable in your career or in your life? That may very well be your biggest opportunity for growth. Silence may be golden under some circumstances, but breaking out of the silence was just the thing I needed to become a better me.